They say cats have 9 lives. Usually, it's just a myth. But in the chaos of World War II, one black and white cat proved that it might actually be true. His name was Sam, but the world knows him by a different legend. Unsinkable Sam. This little creature survived. Not 1, not 2, but 3 major shipwrecks during the deadliest war in history. Was he the luckiest animal alive, or was he actually a curse? Our story takes us back to May 1941. The Atlantic Ocean was a graveyard, and ruling these waters was the pride of Nazi Germany, the battleship Bismarck. It wasn't just a ship, it was a floating city of steel, feared by every sailor in the Royal Navy. But amidst the roar of massive guns and 2,200 men preparing for war, there was a tiny, silent passenger. A nameless black and white cat, brought on board to catch rats, completely unaware that he was standing on a doomed vessel. On May 18th, the Bismarck set sail, but destiny had other plans. The British Navy hunted the giant down like a wounded beast. On May 27th, the sky turned black with smoke. After a brutal battle, the unsinkable Bismarck was torn apart. The Iron Giant screamed as it dragged over 2,000 men down to the crushing depths of the ocean. Only 115 survived. Silence fell over the Atlantic. Hours later, the British Navy hunted the giant down like a wounded beast. On May 27th, the sky turned black with smoke. After a brutal battle, the unsinkable Bismarck was torn apart. The Iron Giant screamed as it dragged over 2,000 men down to the crushing depths of the ocean. Only 115 survived. Silence fell over the Atlantic. Hours later, the British destroyer HMS Cossack was drifting through the graveyard of debris. They weren't expecting to find life. But then, they saw it. Not a soldier, not a weapon, but a small, soaked creature clinging to a floating wooden board. He was shivering, terrified, but miraculously alive. The British sailors pulled him from the wreckage and gave him a name: Oscar. They thought they had saved him. But little did they know, Oscar's dance with death had only just begun. Oscar had traded the Iron Cross for the Royal Ensign. He was no longer a nameless stray, he was a brother-in-arms aboard the HMS Cossack. For months, amidst the dangerous convoy missions in the Mediterranean, he was a beacon of warmth, a living lucky charm for men facing death daily. But in the unforgiving ocean, luck is a finite resource. The night of October 24th, 1941, shattered the silence. A German U-boat, lurking in the shadows, unleashed a torpedo that tore through the Cossack's hull. The impact was apocalyptic. The explosion sheared off the front third of the ship, claiming 159 brave souls in an instant. Amidst the screaming metal, fire, and freezing waters, the survivors scrambled for safety. In that chaotic darkness, Oscar was left behind. Yet, the sea refused to claim him. Hours turned into a day. When rescuers returned to the debris field, they saw a familiar silhouette, wet, shaken, clinging to a piece of wreckage, but alive. The sailors looked at him in disbelief. They realized this was no ordinary animal. He had cheated death twice. From that day on, Oscar was no more. The legend of Unsinkable Sam was born. By now, the cat was no longer just a pet. He was a legend whispered among sailors. He was transferred to the HMS Ark Royal, a massive floating airfield, a ship that had survived countless battles. It was considered the luckiest ship in the Royal Navy. Surely, a fortress this mighty could break the curse? Surely, Sam would finally be safe here, But fate has a cruel sense of humor. Sam had been on board for only 3 weeks. On November 14th, 1941, the nightmare returned. A German U-boat, hiding in the depths, fired a torpedo. The explosion rocked the massive carrier. But unlike the Bismarck, the Ark Royal didn't sink instantly. It began a slow, agonizing death, listing heavily to one side. The evacuation was calm, but the ship was doomed. As the pride of the British fleet disappeared beneath the waves, rescuers searched the empty ocean, wondering if the cat's luck had finally run out. And then they saw him, floating on a wooden plank. For the 3rd time. When they pulled him from the water, he wasn't shivering this time. The officers described him as angry, but quite unharmed. In just 6 months, this small creature had survived the destruction of 3 of the most powerful warships in history. The cat had defeated the ocean. With the sinking of the Ark Royal, the British Admiralty realized that even a cat with 9 lives shouldn't tempt fate forever. Sam had walked away from 3 broken ships. His war was finally over. By order of the governor of Gibraltar, he was grounded, honorably retired to the Home for Sailors in Belfast, far beyond the cruel reach of the ocean. His world changed. Gone were the deafening explosions, the smell of burning oil, and the biting cold of the Atlantic. In their place, only the warmth of a crackling fire and the comfort of a soft bed. The cat who defied empires lived out his remaining years in quiet dignity. The legendary Unsinkable Sam passed away in 1955, proving that after the wildest storms, there is finally peace. To this day, a pastel portrait hangs in the quiet halls of the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich. It stands as a silent testament, a reminder that in the grand theater of war, the smallest souls often cast the longest shadows. But as we look back at his incredible journey, a haunting question remains. Was Sam truly a guardian angel, blessed with impossible luck? Or was he a harbinger of doom, a beautiful curse for every steel giant he stepped foot on? The ocean keeps its secrets, but I want to know yours. Was he a survivor or an omen? Tell us your verdict in the comments. If this journey into the past moved you, honor the history by liking and subscribing. Until our next voyage, farewell.